expected from granting tax abatements? Where do you stand on tax abatements, and where do you draw the line on, you know, the give and the return and everything? Where do you get more out of it than the taxes that you're not getting out of it? So this one we start with Tom, tax abatements.
Well, first of all, we need more people at the table when the tax abatements are given out. The politicians, or the developers, there's a missing entity here, it's the people. Tax abatements, first, secondly, need to be enforceable. We need to have enough people in city government to actually follow up on those tax abatements and make sure that those companies who've made promises are living up to the promises. Thirdly, it wouldn't hurt to have community benefit agreements so that any incentive, including a tax abatement, which is given to a company that wants to locate here, actually directly benefits citizens, such as, you know, a certain percent of jobs in South Bend, like in Indianapolis. Some of the managers might actually be hired out of IU Tech instead of, or IU, instead of from Indianapolis or Detroit or Chicago or Montana. What I'm angling at here is that in economic development, some people tend to benefit more than others from economic development. And all we need to do is make sure that economic development is as democratic as we can make it, and specifically benefits as many of our own citizens directly as we can possibly make it.
All right, tax abatements, where do you stand on that, and where would you draw the line on the ebb and flow of the goods of the city?
Okay, well, first of all, tax abatements are a good incentive for businesses, but there has to be a value proposition. And it's a threefold value proposition. It has to benefit the city, it has to benefit the business, and it has to benefit the citizens. And those have to be in balance. And I believe over the past past years, we haven't had that balance. Once a tax abatement is granted, we have to have the ability to have clawbacks. And clawbacks are simply provisions in the contract with the business that if they leave early, we can go back and get all of the tax incentives that have been granted, bring those back to the city and redistribute them back to the channels. So I'm a strong advocate of clawbacks, and I believe we have to have those clawbacks in state law, because if they're not in state law, it will weaken the provisions of our local ordinance. So I would be a lobbyist on tax abatements to make sure that we have those clawback provisions. But what tax abatement does is takes undeveloped property and provides an opportunity to increase the taxes paid on that property starting in year 2 of a tax abatement. But it has to be monitored. I think instead of leading with tax abatement, we need to understand what businesses need. Some businesses only need a facility, and they're looking for help from the city to do that. That's how I would manage tax abatements, not give them out left and right, but align the tax abatement with the business and their needs.
All right, thank you. Your state on tax abatements.
I want to revisit the education question for just a second. It's easy to be the challenger to offer all sorts of promises that aren't reality-based, and I'm not a naysayer. In fact, I'm a doer. That's why we are the only community that has the opportunity to build a $20 million youth and family center, a Joan Kroc Youth and Family Center. It requires raising $10 million locally to match the grant to make that happen. That's a large amount of money for our community. I just want to put things in perspective sometimes. In terms of tax abatement is an important tool for us. I support tax abatement. And let's review tax abatement for a minute. Tax abatement is a phase-in of taxes. If there's an existing business that's adding on and they request tax abatement for that addition, they continue to pay full taxes on the original building. The new taxes are phased in. Generally, they end up paying about 50% over the period of time. But I think in return for that, the community should get benefit. You should get good paying jobs, both on the construction side as well as the permanent jobs that are created. It should get good investment in our community, and it should be businesses that we want in our community that complement what is happening. The other economic development role of the city is really to have the infrastructure in place so that companies are able to invest here, to have the roads, the streets, the sewer and the water, the metro net in place that encourages and enhances and makes it easy for companies to make that decision to invest their dollars here and grow new jobs in our community.
All right, thank you very much.